Stop. This isn't another screens destroy babies fear video. Neuroscientists have discovered that the screen isn't actually the enemy. It's what your baby isn't doing while watching it. Pediatricians and experts debate the same research, but they're missing the one crucial variable that actually matters. In this video, you'll learn that variable, the thing that completely reframes whether screens help or harm your baby's development. You'll know which screen time and shows align with your baby's brain, and what you need to do with it. But first, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your baby's brain right now. At 4 weeks old, your baby begins learning. That's a face. Faces mean something. This person responds to me. This learning happens through specialized brain cells called mirror neurons. When you smile at your baby, mirror neurons fire. Your baby's brain literally mirrors your action. When you coo, your baby attempts to coo back. Here's where it gets shocking. A 2019 study tested 40 babies. Half watched a real caregiver waving and making faces in real time. The other half watched a video of that exact same caregiver doing identical actions. Same person, same words, same facial expressions. The in-person group's mirror neurons activated 80% more than the video group. Why? Because real faces provide multi-sensory input, micro-expressions, real-time responsiveness, spatial depth, 3D presence, touch, smell, temperature. A screen is neurologically inert. Your baby's developing brain says, this isn't real social input. Mirror neurons don't need to engage. Around 6 months, your baby's brain learns, if I can't see something, it still exists. That toy under the blanket didn't disappear. Object permanence is learned exclusively through 3D interaction, reaching, dropping objects, watching gravity work, hiding and finding. A screen is flat. Tapping it creates no real consequences, no gravity, no surprise, no learning. Neurologically, screens cannot teach object permanence because object permanence is learned through three-dimensional physical cause and effect. Here's the 0 to 12-month rule for screen time, backed by 10+ peer-reviewed studies. 0 screens, except for real-time video calls with loved ones. That's it, no exceptions. At this stage, screens aren't necessarily toxic, they are just neurologically irrelevant. But here is the statistic every parent needs to hear. The biggest threat to development isn't your baby's screen, it's technoference. Research shows that parent phone scrolling reduces vital serve and return interaction by 40%. Those lost moments are the literal building blocks of your baby's brain. You aren't just checking an email, you're silencing a vital developmental conversation. By 12 months, the language explosion begins, and screens can potentially fit in, but only under specific conditions I'll show you in the next section of this video. Now, let's take a quick look on a realistic daily schedule to see where screens would actually go. Look at this schedule on your screen. Where is the gap? There isn't one. Every minute on a screen replaces sleep, physical play, or social bonding. Neuroscience recommends 0 because nothing in a baby's first-year developmental schedule actually needs a digital substitute. 12 to 18 months babies. Around 12 months, language begins. Not words yet, but patterns, rhythm, sound sequences, back and forth. Babies in high-screen, low-conversation homes have measurably smaller language centers by age 3. But here's what changes everything. When you watch a screen with your baby and narrate, that's a dog, it's barking. We saw a dog at the park. You've created back and forth. You've activated the language system. If your baby watches passively alone, the language system stays flat. No engagement, no learning. A passive screen session activates language centers at 30% capacity. A co-engaged viewing session activates them at 90% capacity. Same screen, same 10 minutes, wildly different neural outcomes. This is the variable that changes everything about screen time. Screen time recommendation for the 12 to 18 months is maximum 5 to 10 minutes per week if certain conditions are met. Passive screens at this stage don't create back and forth. A video plays words at your baby, but your baby's attempts to communicate aren't heard or responded to. So if screens appear at all, they must be co-viewed with active parent engagement. Honestly, a book provides the same benefit with more engagement potential. But if you do use screens, you need to understand the single most important variable, the content quality framework, the 3-second rule. Not all children's content is created equal. Neuroscience researches show only slow-paced content, with scene changes every 5 to 15 seconds, predictable transitions, are good for 12 to 18 months babies. This allows your toddler to process, integrate, and anticipate information, rather than simply reacting to flashes of light. The gold standard for this stage includes original, slow-paced episodes of Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. These shows utilize repeated vocabulary and character-driven narratives that mirror real-life relationships. Research in the Journal of Child Media found that co-viewing these segments helps toddlers learn 20% more vocabulary than passive viewing. Baby Einstein, Baby's First Moves, select episodes, is also good, noting that it is less language-focused than Sesame Street, better for sensory exploration. Be very careful with Cocomelon, as it is faster than recommended, can overstimulate developing attention systems. If used, parent must pause frequently and narrate constantly. You have to avoid algorithm-driven YouTube content and background TV entirely. These utilize chaotic pacing that overstimulates the infant brain without providing any developmental benefit. Commercial cartoons should be avoided too, as they are designed for older children. No developmental benefit for this age. Now, a big question is, how to use screens. To transform digital content from a passive distraction into a brain-building tool, you can apply the 3D bridge method: detect, dialogue, and do. First, detect whether the content is safe or risky. High-retention educational content requires an average shot length of at least 5 seconds, consistent characters, and real human interaction. Avoid anything with sudden cuts, flashing text, or jarring music. If you only have 10 seconds to evaluate a show, watch the opening. If it feels chaotic or overstimulating, turn it off immediately. Second, create dialogue through active narration. Research shows that narrating what's on screen boosts vocabulary retention by 70% compared to passive viewing. Use these 2 lines every time. Line 1. Label and link. Look, dog. The dog says woof. We saw a dog at the park, remember? Doing this, you are adding vocabulary, maintaining engagement, and creating neural links between screen content and real life. Line 2. Action prompt. Can you show me how the dog runs? Let's try. You are converting passive to active, engaging the motor system, and creating back and forth. Third, do the activity in the real world. As soon as the clip ends, engage in a physical follow-up. If the video featured fruit, give a small piece of banana and label, banana, yummy, soft. Video about a dog? Find a plush dog, imitate sounds, let them touch it. This triggers dual coding, the pairing of a digital word with a physical object, which creates neural memories 3 times stronger than a screen can provide alone. The non-negotiable rule is simple. If you are not actively narrating, pausing, and connecting, the screen stays off. Passive screens provide no developmental benefit at this stage. You might as well read a book, and honestly, you should. Let's talk about normal screen use and real warning signs. Reaching for a phone, mild fussiness when a show ends, or using 10 minutes of video during a household emergency are green flags. These are normal behaviors and do not cause permanent damage. However, red flags worth addressing include a lack of babbling or turn-taking by 12 months alongside high screen use, the consistent replacement of physical play, or chronic sleep disruption. If your baby appears detached from people or objects, it is time to pivot your approach. Then what you actually need to do are protect sleep above all else. If you choose between more screen time or better sleep, choose sleep. Sleep is non-negotiable for brain development. This is more important than screens. 2. Prioritize co-engagement over everything else. If screens are on, be mostly present. Your narration literally changes neurological outcomes. Your voice is the intervention. 3. Choose slow-paced, character-driven content. Sesame Street is not YouTube. Pacing matters neurologically. 4. Stop feeling guilty if you're engaged. If your 15-month-old watches 10 minutes while you narrate and connect, you're not damaging them. You're being present. That's fine. 5. Make sure screens don't replace play and movement. Outdoor play, pretend play, and physical activity build neural networks screens don't. 6. Remember, intentionality matters more than perfection. The fact that you're trying to understand how to support your baby's development, that's the most important variable. Your presence, your voice, your attention are the real foundation. Screens are just a detail within that larger context. If you are managing well with occasional screen use, keep doing what you're doing. If you're overwhelmed and screens help you get through the day, that's not failure, that's survival. Burnt-out parents aren't good for babies. In the description of this video, you'll find the 0 to 18-month screen time framework, printable checklist, daily schedule templates for your baby's nap patterns, program recommendations chart with pacing metrics and why each works, co-viewing narration guide, verbatim parent scripts for Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, Baby Einstein, red flags versus normal checklist, the 3D bridge method visual guide. No email required, just download and use tonight. We will have more videos in the same series. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. See you next time.